But in this one, I'm going to go through the proximity model for high ticket coaching offers, which is what I believe to be the best model if you're looking to scale your coaching business. I'm going to go through what I've been doing to build and systemize things for my clients. So, just as a point of reference, I'm a coach, but I also have an agency offer where I build things out and partner with clients. And so I'm kind of in the trenches with people who are actually further ahead of me in terms of coaching. But then I'm also doing a lot of this stuff myself, my own coaching offer. And what I want to talk about and what kind of brought this video on was being on my honeymoon. So last month, in June, I spent a month on my honeymoon traveling Asia with my wife. And at the start of the honeymoon, we flew to Singapore and I was speaking to her cousins who lived there, and they were telling us about getting tickets for Taylor Swift. And basically, they paid a few $100s to get a ticket to see her live. It's a big concert, so you could go further at the back and pay like $100 for a ticket, but obviously you're way at the back. You're basically just looking at a screen, or you could pay up to like I think it was like $2,000 to be way at the front, and obviously you can just like be right next to the stage. And they were kind of somewhat in the middle. So you're listening to the same music. It's the same concert. You're seeing Taylor Swift, but you're paying for a different level of proximity. And that really clicked in my mind. And I have seen, different people doing this, and I've built this out with clients over the years, but I've never tried it out myself, which is essentially using lower ticket offers to fuel your high ticket offers. And I was able to package up some existing modules that I have that I send one-to-one clients and just sell them off as individual modules. And it brought in an extra $2,000, which isn't a crazy amount, but the fact that it probably took me less than an hour to actually set up all the pages to sell it. I already had the modules to deliver, and I just had to set up like a payment link with Stripe to pay it to collect payments. And then basically what I did is I promoted it on my Instagram stories. So out of that $2,000, about half of it came from organic. So it was me just posting it out to my Instagram followers, my email list. I think I sent one or two emails. And then I also set up like a really simple ad just to that same page just to test it. And it's actually doing a 2x return on ad spend. So basically, I spent $500 and made 1,000 from ads. And then I did another $1,000 just organically. Now, what's more important than because like the 2K is all right, 1,500 profit doesn't really make a massive difference to the business. But the big thing for me was I actually got additional clients from that. So it's only been a couple of weeks. But so far, I haven't put any offers out to anybody that's bought any of those low ticket modules. But what happened was I had two people reach out who wanted to work with me. One signed on to one-to-one coaching, which was 3,600, right? And the other was a done for you client, which is 10,000. Now, both of these are for 4 month periods and they are split pays. So basically, that works out at 900 a month for the coaching and 2,500 for the done for you, right? So in total, that is, you know, 13,600 high ticket on top of the 2,000. So 15,600, which is pretty nuts, right? Just from putting out those products. And those basically gave them a taster as to how I work. And so what I want to do is I want to break down kind of the old model and new model of doing things. So I've been in the coaching industry for 9 years now. Started out as B2C, so doing health and fitness coaching, grew that to six figures before working for my business mentor and basically helping a load of coaches when I worked for him, and then going and launching an agency myself in 2017, I believe it was. And so I've been in the trenches working with a lot of coaches at different levels. And typically, the old model looks like this. You kind of have like a high ticket offer, then you have like a mastermind offer, then you have like events, and then you might have like one-to-one, right? And this is for people that have like really scaled things. So I've had a couple of clients at the multi seven figure level. This is the model that a lot of these guys use at that high level. So one client was doing 250K a month with this model. Now the problem they had, they were doing 250K a month, but the problem they had was it was expensive to get high ticket clients, and it was they had a massive drop off between all of these. And so it wasn't very well optimized. They had a massive team. They were pumping money into ads. They were spending about 50K a month in ads just to kind of do 250K. And then they had like another 100K of expenses, then taxes. So it was a lot of stress for not a lot of take home at the end of the day. Whereas this new model that, I've got clients doing, and as I say, this is kind of what I'm working on myself right now, which is like we call the proximity model, which is where essentially you're not like selling people on new information. So one thing I will mention here, which you see in business stuff, it's like a lot of these guys is like they'll have a front end offer, they'll teach people organic, then you'll go into like a higher ticket offer where they'll teach you ads, then they'll have like mastermind events or whatever where they teach you like hiring, and then one to one is obviously more kind of like custom support sort of stuff. And it's hard because like you might need all three of these things, but then you've got to pay like sometimes it's like you pay 10K, like 5 to 10K for this, then you might pay like 10 to 20K for this, then you might pay another like, sometimes these are anywhere from like 30 to 60K a year. And then one to one can be anything really. I've had clients that charge 100 grand for one to one coaching for the year. And so like it obviously if you get the right clients through that are already doing very well, they crush it with organic, they kind of ascend, it works. But like the drop off is massive because if you're just giving people organic marketing at the start, 90% of people are not going to qualify for the next level. Like they're just not going to be able to get to the point where they can spend this amount to invest to learn about ads and then pay for ads, the actual ad costs. So it doesn't really make sense, this kind of old model. And I still see quite a lot of people, big companies doing this where, especially the more established guys that have been in the space for a long time and pumped, millions into ads over the years that you see. It's just not the most efficient way of doing things. And so what I want to talk about is this new model, which is proximity. And essentially you have like one to one, and that can be done for you as well. As I said, like for my offer, I have like a one to one and a done for you offer. And my done for you is still coaching, in terms of like they get coaching as well as, running their ads, building funnels, because I think the coaching is actually, super important. Um, and then you have a community or group coaching offer. And then you have kind of, individual workshops, whether that's live or like I was selling kind of pre-made modules. Now, there's no new information, right? So if you're one to one, you get access to all of this stuff. Okay. You get access to um, all of the content from all of the workshops and modules. If you're in the community, you get all of the workshops, all of the modules, but you don't get one to one. And then if you're doing the workshops modules, you're just paying for those individual modules. You're not getting the community. You're not getting the one to one. So if you're watching this right now and you're like at zero, then I wouldn't start here. I would start here. So you want to build case studies, and more than just case studies, you want to build, let me just scroll down a bit. You want to build a protocol or methodology. That's super important because it's really hard to build out modules and a group coaching program without some sort of protocol system, in place. So with your one-to-one clients, you're essentially just doing it with them. And then as you go, this is kind of what I've done over the years is, film modules to help people more. So you're not just repeating yourself all the time and they have stuff to do in between calls. And that's what I did. And so I have these modules where people can kind of just run with some of the stuff. And I sold some off, right? And they were like small modules. And so one of them was the first one's a $3. This one actually isn't a module, it's more just a combination of some notes and some YouTube videos, which is my playbook. It's $3, right? Well, if you actually action the stuff in there, it's gold. The problem obviously is if people actually action it or not. So it's $3. Then I have a $7 offer, which is some video ad scripts for IG follower ads. And then I have a $27 bundle, which is like a training which breaks down kind of how to set the ads up for DMs, how to, setting up targeting, And then it also has a load of proven Canva templates that people can kind of copy and just tweak for their offers. And that's $27. And so really the value of this is much higher, obviously. But the goal here was to try and convert cold traffic, which is what I did. So again, didn't spend a huge amount, but for $500, I made $1,000, which not amazing, but from cold traffic, that's pretty good. But then the next thing after that is more the upsells, right? So as I said, it was a 10,000 and a 3,600 with cash collected was, or so far, because it's the first month, is 3,400. Is that right? Yeah. 3,400, right? Plus the 2K that we made from actually selling the workshop, selling the modules. And really, like that's just going to feed into this, right? So you have these kind of low ticket, low ticket products that you can sell 24/7. You have community where you can do open close dates, right? So you might just open it once a month and limit it to 10 or 20 spaces. And pricing for that varies. I have clients that do this and they charge kind of like $1,000 a month on the higher ticket end for community. And then I have people who do kind of a lower end where it's like $100. I would personally recommend somewhere between like $200 and $400 to start when you first launch it and then just increase it as you go, right? So if you say your first 5 people or first 10 people, it's $200, then you increase it to 300, then 400 over time. That's a kind of good model for increasing the community offer. That's what I'm going to do when I launch mine. But right now, essentially, I don't have a community offer. So I would recommend for most people actually going from this one-to-one, adding the community, and then selling the workshops and modules. The only reason why I essentially like skipped this middle part is, as I said, I was on my honeymoon and I just didn't have the capacity to do it. So I couldn't, it's not that I couldn't. I didn't want to do any loads of extra work. I didn't want to be jumping on loads of calls. I didn't want to be in the DMs selling people. I wanted to be present with my wife, enjoying my honeymoon. And that's exactly what I did. It was the least amount of work I've ever done in 10 years of entrepreneurship, which is kind of crazy. And then by the time I did come back, I was like really kind of earing, really ready to go and kind of just, yeah, like really kind of clear headed on all this stuff. So this is what I'm building out right now, and I've built out already for clients. And I just see this as the model to scale, right? So for one-to-one done for you, like you can launch this, sorry, you can scale this to like 50K a month, depending on your offer, right? If you're on the lower end on your products, like if you just do one-to-one coaching and it's like $1,000, you're not going to scale to 50K. Maybe you hit like 10, 15K, and then you're kind of starting to get limited. But if you have like a higher ticket offer, like for me, like my offers between 900 and 2.5 grand a month. Plus, I also have some growth partnerships where I have like revenue shares and stuff, which pay well. So for me, like I think 50K is a very good number as like a top end to hit. But for a lot of people, it could be anywhere between 10K and 50K. The main thing with this is making sure that you have like a good audience before you launch a community. And a good audience doesn't have to be like tens of thousands of people. It's more just making sure you have enough engaged people. So if you have like 100 people that regularly watch your Instagram stories or open your emails, that's a very good engaged audience, right? As long as they're the right people. And that, to get 10 people, 5 or 10 people to raise their hand for your community offer, then that's going to work really well. But let's say right now you have some one-to-one clients, you have like no audience at all, you don't have an email list, then it doesn't make sense to try and launch a community. You want to basically focus on, let me zoom out again. You want to focus on one-to-one whilst building your audience. So basically, that's looking at IG follower ads. It's looking at your content on IG. And if you haven't yet, I would recommend looking at YouTube. as well. Alongside that, I get some, good quality calls from YouTube every month. I'm pretty slow with YouTube. I have less than 300 subscribers. Um, and I'm still getting calls booked regularly. Like I've not posted a video, and this is the first video in 2 months, and I still get calls regularly booked from YouTube, other than when I was away because I was turning my calendar off. And then retargeting to your DMs, right, on Instagram. So basically, you're building an audience of engaged people that know, like, and trust you. And then when it does come to launch like your community offer, you want to do like an open and close and then go really hard with promotion because a lot of the time I see people they do a promotion, it's like they just talk about it once and a few people see it and then they forget about it, right? It's like really you want to spend like 2 weeks at least talking about this everywhere. So, especially stories is going to be like your most engaged place. You want to be sending a VSL to people, promoting the community. And when I say sending, I mean like direct message people that you've already had conversations with. Maybe there's people you've spoken to in the past that couldn't quite afford your one to one, or maybe it wasn't quite the right fit for them. You can reach back out and say, hey, look, I'm launching this new offer. I think this would be a really good fit for you. Do you want the details? Yeah, sure. Send them over. Boom. Send them in VSL. And then from there, if you're doing sales calls, you can take them onto a sales call. If you sell through sales documents, you can send them a sales document. I would probably recommend that even if it's a lower price point, I would recommend jumping on sales calls for this for at least like the first 10, 20 people, just because it's market research, right? Having those calls with people is going to be super valuable for market research purposes. So whilst you might not want to jump on loads of calls, it's worth doing. It's worth doing. I go through periods of selling through chat and documents. I have sales documents. So actually, what's funny is the last two people that bought this offer, it wasn't these guys that came through the low ticket. They were just organic people. So I've signed like 5 clients since coming back from my honeymoon. But I had like 3 people sign up from sales documents, right? One was for a done for you 2.5K a month offer or 10K offer, and the other two are for coaching from a sales document, right? Which is nuts. But I do go through periods where I open my calendar and jump on sales calls just for market research purposes. So I would highly recommend you do that when you launch a community offer. And then down the line, this isn't something you even need to worry about right now, but down the line, you essentially, once you have your community with your modules, I'm in a few masterminds that are hosted on School, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Also, some of my clients use School. I think it's a really great platform. I have played about with it myself. I haven't launched one yet, but I think School's really good for this, where you can kind of have like modules, community chat sort of thing, and then call schedules. I think is a really good platform for that. You could use a different platform as well, but for an example, I think that's a really good place to start. So once you have that, let's say you have like 20 people in down the line. Might take you a few months to get there, but you have 20 people. They're paying you kind of like maybe 200 to 300 a month, right? It's not huge amounts, but there's two things that can happen. One, you've got a lot of leverage with these guys because you're not doing one to one. You can make offers. These are going to be the easiest clients to sign for one to one because they already know what your coaching is like. They know what your information is like. And they just want, going back to that kind of Taylor Swift story, they just want closer proximity to you. So maybe they've had some wins, they've kind of got some information, they've made some progress by themselves with, help with the community, but now they want more help. And that's where, offering one to one to those guys is really valuable. The other thing you can do is package up some of the modules and sell them off as pre-recorded. And this is what I did, as I said. However, the only reason why I didn't do the second thing is because I don't have a community offer and I was just going straight for these. If I had a community and I wasn't taking time off, I would sell tickets to a live workshop that you're already hosting for clients. And a few of my clients have been doing this lately really well, where it's like let's say you're hosting a workshop with your existing clients. What you do is you go into the community and you ask people, you get them to vote on like what do you want this month's workshop to be on? They tell you, your clients tell you, rather than you telling them. And maybe you give them a few options, like instead of just saying, "Hey, what do you want?" You could say, "Hey, look, I'm either going to run a workshop on A, B, or C. Vote for what you want." And then you just sell tickets to it, right? And let's just say those tickets are like anywhere from 50 to $200, 50 to 200. And then really you just deliver value because this isn't like a webinar. This isn't like a sales pitch. It is literally you delivering value for your clients. And then there also is some additional people who bought tickets. And then at the end, you can just present them with an offer and just say, "Hey, if you want to learn more, I can send you a breakdown of the offer." And then you can follow up with people manually as well after the call. And then you can also promote publicly, right? So that's the last bit. So chances are, if you're running all the Instagram ad stuff, they'll be following you on Instagram. So on your stories, again, you can do open, close, cart, which is like open, close date. So let's say you do a workshop on the second last week of the month, then you might find, you have 1 week of like open cart, right? So 1 week where you're just going really hard promo with real scarcity, right? So it's not false scarcity. It's literally we're closing our doors in a week. And then depending on, how engaged your audience is, how fast and how hard you're scaling, maybe you get anywhere from 10 to 20 people a month, right? In the early stages, you probably won't do that. Maybe it's like 5 people, but that's fine. It's just going to compound each month. And then as you build, if we scroll back up, what we're doing is we're essentially expanding this circle, right? As you get more people, doing your workshops and doing your low ticket stuff, that means you're getting more people into the community. So this circle is expanding. And then potentially it might be that you don't necessarily take on more one-to-one clients because that might not be your goal, but it gives you leverage to increase um, prices massively, right? And you can do that and even just with one to one, which is like, just as a side note, that's what I've done over the years. Like as I said, like technically my highest level offer is growth partnerships and I have clients pay me, some months $10,000 a month just because I have a revenue share. But if I look at more my like actual retainers where I'm charging a cash price, like right now it's 10,000 with because it's a minimum commitment of 4 months. But if I do it on a monthly basis, it's 2,500 USD. If I look at over the last 6 years, I used to charge $300 a month, right? And over time, obviously, as I've upskilled, as I've worked with bigger clients in the space, as I've had more referrals, as I've just skilled up basically and spent a lot more on ads and got a lot more results and case studies. Plus, I'm not desperate for clients, right? Like I'm very kind of selective with who I work with for this offer. So I'm very confident when I charge that. And, you know, I'm going to keep increasing it as well. As I get more and more clients into the low end, I'm going to keep increasing the price on the back end because I don't want loads of clients for that. All right. Like right now, I don't, I'm not taking anybody else on for that offer just because it's very hands on. And that's really this model. So hopefully you found this training useful. If you have any questions, feel free just to either comment below or your best bet is actually just to message me on Instagram. But yeah, hopefully you can kind of see the faults in this old model and kind of where, I'm really excited with everything that, I'm doing with clients right now and what I'm building out myself because there's just a lot more scalability. I've grown to 50K months in the past. That's not where I'm at right now, but I've grown to 50K months and I was just burnt out and I went backwards and I wasn't able to sustain it. Had I built this out earlier, I'd probably be a lot further ahead than I am right now. But that's just part of the journey, right? And so this is what I'm building out right now myself, and what I'm building out with clients. And so hopefully you found this useful. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.